Buongiorno.
Not working.
Good morning, everyone. Buongiorno. Welcome to Rome. Buongiorno. I think we are going to start very soon. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for being with us today. My name is Fabio Petito. I'm the director of the Religion and Foreign Policy Initiatives at the University of Sussex in the United Kingdom. And I had the honor and the pleasure of coordinating the academic work that went into preparation for this today's conference. Today's conference, as you know, is entitled Religious Freedom and Integral Human Development, a new global platform to change the conversation. And it's organized by the Embassy of the Sovereign Order of Malta. And of course, we are in this stunning, beautiful place, which we are very grateful for, by the Atlantic Council. And I want to acknowledge here Dan Negrea, Joseph Lemoine, and all the members of the Advisory Council that are with us, by the Pontifical Urban University, and as well the University of Notre Dame, and John Cabot University, and the University of Sussex. So in what was a quite formidable new coalition that I very much enjoy to work with, and I look forward to continuing to working with in the years to come. I would like to ask Mr. Michael Fish, which is the chair of the Advisory Council of the Prosperity and Freedom Center at the Atlantic Council, which is the main sponsor and driving force of some of the organization of the conference, to please come to give a greetings.
Thank you very much. Honored guest, distinguished panelists, colleagues and friends, welcome, and it is a beautiful setting. It's my privilege to welcome all of you to this Rome Conference on Religious Freedom and Integral Human Development. We'll talk today about many of the world's challenges: war, poverty, discrimination, climate change, and the lack of access to crucial resources and services, and especially about the denial of fundamental rights for all, the freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. Defending freedom is, of course, important to me and my colleagues at the Atlantic Council's Freedom and Prosperity Center, a center that strives to promote the well-being of all, especially the poor and the marginalized, everywhere, especially in developing countries, through unbiased, data-based research. Our peer-reviewed academic quality research provides data on and explores the relationship between prosperity and economic, political, and legal freedoms across 164 countries over the last 29 years, so every year since 1995. We seek to support sound policy choices by voting populations in each country and governments, think tanks, and other NGOs. The Freedom and Prosperity Indexes were created to help in this endeavor. Two separate indexes which rank every country on their levels of freedom and their levels of prosperity. And what sets these indexes apart is not only the exhaustive amount of data that they are based on, but an expansive understanding of what it means for a society to be free and to be prosperous. This brings us to the topic of our conference today and why I'm so excited about the progress we hope to make through our panel discussions. The Freedom and Prosperity Index's data supports the notion that protecting religious freedom and prosperity is important. Religious discrimination can impede access to healthcare, education, food, sanitation, and leave many religious minorities economically marginalized. Despite these perhaps obvious links, the relationship between religious freedom, development, and prosperity is often broadly overlooked. Today, we will look at these exhaustive challenges afresh. Through the Freedom and Prosperities Index's expansive understanding of what constitutes a truly free society and the concept of integral human development, long-term and durable prosperity that should be centered on the inherent dignity of each and every person. As Pope Francis has said, this inherent human dignity requires universal access to both material and spiritual goods, housing, decent work, food, water, and important jobs, but also religious and spiritual freedom and education. It also provides fresh insight into how these existential challenges can be met. As chair of the Freedom and Prosperity Center, and on behalf of our terrific colleagues and the whole Atlantic Council organization, we're delighted to sponsor this conference. And we'd also like to pay tribute to those who have been crucial to making it happen. In particular, I would like to thank the Embassy of the Sovereign Order of Malta to the Holy See, Pontifical Urban University, the University of Sussex, the University of Notre Dame, John Cabot University, and my colleagues at the Atlantic Council's Freedom and Prosperity Center who have done so much work to make this a special day for all of us. Today we have a unique opportunity to explore a spiritual, inspired understanding of human development. How can it help us achieve human flourishing, prosperity, and multi-dimensional freedom for all? How might religious freedom and integral human development help safeguard and promote other freedoms? In addressing these questions and others, it is my hope that today will serve as an important point, a special opportunity that may become less rare. This conference should become an annual tradition, supporting a religious-sensitive global platform for tackling these crucial issues. I would also like to thank you all for coming, in particular our excellent panelists, and I look forward to what we will discover today. And next, we have a special video from Nazila Ghania, Special Rapporteur on Freedom and Religion of Belief from the United Nations. Thank you all.
Thank you, Michael. We are very grateful to you and to the Atlantic Council. And I'll invite the Ambassador Antonio Zanardi Landi, the Ambassador of the Sovereign Order of Malta to the Holy See, who has been more than what we call in Italian il padrone di casa, you know, the person, but he has been really an important driving force of all the process. Ambassador.
He has already done my speech. What else to say if not to welcome His Most Reverend Excellency Monsignor Gallagher, who is the Secretary for Relations with State of the Secretariat of State at the Holy See, and we are very grateful to him for being with us today. After us, I think there are 40 speakers who are going to take the floor and speak about religious freedom, so I won't, because it would be too much. I would like to say only one thing. On the 23rd of February last year, I met for the first time Dan Negrea, who is with us today, and he launched the idea of having a conference on religious freedom in Rome. And it seems quite a courageous move and not an easy one, but thanks to Fabio and to others, I think we have been able to put together quite a nice event with all the right people who should be here, and I think it's rather prodigious to have been able to do that in just 9 months. The second thing is that the 24th of October in Washington, I found an American, a US citizen, who gave the first chunk of money for the restoration of the Aventine. And in 9 months, we have been able to redo roofs, facades, windows, air conditioning. I hope it works. Air conditioning and everything else. And as I have to do my little commercial, my little publicity spot, I cannot but draw your attention on the fact that that is a sign that the order is fighting with success his battle against modernity. and that in fact that the order is quite lively and try to move quickly. Thank you very much. I leave to the panel going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. The United Nations Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Religion or Belief, Professor Nazila Ghanea, was supposed to be with us, but she couldn't finally. She has been kind enough of sending a short video message of greetings that we would like to watch now, please.
Excellencies, esteemed guests and colleagues, I very much regret not being able to join you in person at this conference on religious freedom and integral human development, but I'm nonetheless very grateful for the opportunity to share some thoughts with you by video. I want to start by extending my sincere thanks to all of the organizers for their kind invitation. This conference comes at a crucial moment for the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. As you are all only too aware, last September marked the halfway point in the agenda's implementation, and the assessment of progress to date has been sobering, to say the very least. In a joint declaration and a subsequent press statement in the run-up to the SDG summit, I joined colleagues from across the special procedures of the UN human rights system in drawing urgent attention to the systematic marginalization of disadvantaged groups across the world. What little progress has been achieved in sustainable development has been far from sufficiently equitable and falls a long way short of the agenda's call to leave no one behind. As we know, religious and belief minorities are often among those most sharply marginalized across the world. What is perhaps even worse is that oftentimes the effort is made to discursively seek to justify the marginalization of exclusion or exclusion of persons due to their religion or belief with reference to religious doctrine. Regrettably, my mandate deals with such examples on a daily basis: denial of citizenship or nationality, destruction of homes and places of worship, incitement, threats, and physical violence, denial of healthcare or provision of a poorer service, and denial of education in line with human rights standards. These violations are often far from anomalies or failures in development policy, but rather they represent intentional political and social ends in themselves. Though in many respects development and human rights constitute different languages, a human rights lens can provide a vital grammar to development practitioners in analyzing and articulating such marginalization of religious or belief groups in development policy. Seen from this perspective, a denial of access to basic socioeconomic services, democratic participation, or freedom from threats to life and livelihood are not mere failures of policy, but also transgressions of the state's legal obligations to which we should call them accountable. Beyond this, a freedom of religion or belief approach creates a vital space for a diversity of perspectives on what indeed constitutes development. This helps society to think beyond political and economic dogmas alone and enrich discussions as to what makes a life livable on a planet with finite resources and mounting environmental threats. This conference, focusing on the potential of the concept of integral human development, represents an important example of such a space. For its part, the framework of human rights is often perceived as technical and individualistic, and the threshold for establishing a violation of human rights, especially in relation to social, economic, and cultural rights, is often unhelpfully high. Development practitioners are not restrained in this way. They can enrich our understanding on the situation of diverse persons holding various beliefs of religious or belief minorities through data gathering. Indeed, they can access and influence policy-making spaces beyond the reach of those working with a human rights lens. Some argue that where both human rights and development find significant common ground is in the concept of human dignity. Others link it to the idea of an integral human development approach, which they hold to be less contested. I am sympathetic to the idea of dignity as a practice rather than assuming a particular understanding. A real recognition of the inherent dignity of people is perhaps something we should listen for. This will no doubt resonate with the many marginalized groups whose existence and whose rights were not recognized for much of the early existence of international human rights law and discourse, and whose struggle has been, and in sometimes remains, a struggle first and foremost to be heard equally and with respect. Both the human rights and development policy agendas, I believe, would benefit greatly if those at the international level bring an ethic of humility and a desire to listen, learn, and reconsider engagements with those suffering from marginalization. In this spirit, I want to wish you all inspiring and productive conversations. I have no doubt this conference will represent an important event as we rally to bring renewed impetus to the Sustainable Development Agenda. And as we cast our eyes beyond 2030, there remains much work to be done. With that in mind, I look forward to the outcomes of the conference and hope to continue engaging with you in the near future. Thank you very much.